Today's headlines explore bold new frontiers, economic recalibrations, and spiritual transitions on the world stage. In a world racing towards the future, who gets to shape what comes next? From the depths of the ocean floor to the heights of the Sistine Chapel, global decisions are being made that could reshape the future politically, economically, and spiritually. Welcome to Flash News. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Is America ready to dig deep, literally, for its future? Well, just over 3 months into his second term, President Donald Trump is once again doubling down on one of his signature promises, American economic independence. But this time, his battleground isn't trade tariffs or manufacturing. It is the ocean floor. In a speech delivered earlier today, Trump reiterated his administration's aggressive push to secure critical mineral resources, materials essential for everything from smartphones and missiles to solar panels and electric vehicles. With China and Russia tightening their grip on global supply chains, the president is urging swift action to explore untapped mineral reserves beneath international waters. He says we're not going to let China dominate the future. We have the technology, the power, and the will to lead. And that includes leading in deep sea mining, Trump declared. Now, this isn't the first time Trump has drawn attention to strategic mineral deposits. His 2019 proposal to purchase Greenland sparked global debate over resource control. Now, during his first term, he frequently raised concerns about America's reliance on adversarial nations for rare earth elements. Now, he's channeling that same focus into an even deeper frontier, the seafloor. Now, the stakes are high. Polymetallic nodules scattered across the Pacific abyss are rich in cobalt, nickel, manganese, and rare earth elements. Now, these minerals are crucial for the United States' national security and its green energy ambitions. Yet, China currently controls more than 60% of the world's rare earth refining, and Russia is expanding its footprint in the mineral sector. Trump's administration is calling for a regulatory overhaul to fast-track exploratory permits and encourage public-private partnerships in deep-sea mining, all under the banner of responsible extraction. The President of the United States insists this isn't reckless exploitation, but rather a patriotic step towards breaking dependency and reviving American industry. Now, environmentalists, however, are sounding the alarm. Marine scientists warn that deep-sea mining could have irreversible impacts on fragile ocean ecosystems. Legal scholars also point to murky jurisdictional issues, given much of the ocean floor lies in international territory regulated by the United Nations International Seabed Authority, the UNISA, to which the United States has not fully committed. Still, Republicans on Capitol Hill are rallying behind the initiative, framing it as a national security imperative. Senator Josh Hawley called it a modern-day moonshot, while House Speaker Elise Stefanik described it as a critical front in the fight for American sovereignty. So the question looms, can America afford to wait while China dives deeper? Well, for Trump, the answer is clear. He is reviving the frontier spirits that once defined America's rise and taking it beneath the waves. It is our duty to lead, he told this to reporters, saying if we don't, others will, and they won't have our values, our transparency, or our environmental standards. Now, as global powers gear up for control of tomorrow's most valuable resources, the ocean floor has become the next geopolitical chessboard. Whether America's bet on deep-sea mining pays off remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, Trump isn't backing down. We wonder if this is a bold leap into the future or a blind plunge into uncharted depths. Well, that perhaps is the question of our age. And with that, we step away from the United States and its economy to the United Kingdom's economy as it enters a new phase in a significant monetary policy move. We see the Bank of England has lowered its base interest rate from 4.5% to 4.25%. Now, this marks the first interest rate cut in recent months, reflecting growing confidence in short-term economic recovery while acknowledging longer-term challenges. The decision made by the central bank's 9-member Monetary Policy Committee, the MPC, was split. 5 members supported the 0.25% cut, 2 advocated for a steeper cut to 4%, and the remaining 2 voted to maintain the rate at 4.5%. Now, this division underscores the complexities of the United Kingdom's current economic landscape. Over the past few years, we've seen the United Kingdom economy navigating series of disruptions from the global COVID-19 pandemic and the Brexit-related trade shifts to soaring inflation and an energy crisis triggered by the war in Ukraine. Even in 2022 and 2023, the Bank of England responded to these inflationary pressures by aggressively hiking interest rates, reaching a peak of 5.25% in mid-2023, the highest in over a decade. Now, these rate increases were aimed at curbing inflation, which at its peak exceeded 10%, placing severe strain on household budgets. While inflation has since eased to more manageable levels, the tighter monetary policy contributed to slowed consumer spending, rising mortgage costs, and sluggish business investment. Let's take a look at this video.
This addresses trade across the whole world economy. So the UK, as you rightly say, is only a part of that. So that's what we need, and I think that would be a big part of reducing the level of uncertainty around trade policy going forwards. I think we also need to look. This is a deeper question at how trade policy is made, greater confidence in the multilateral process, but that's a much deeper and bigger question going forwards. On the question of markets and financial stability, we've obviously had very volatile market conditions. What I would say is this, and I'm going to say, so far, touch wood, and so on. Actually, the financial system has come through robustly, in the sense that the structural sort of elements of the financial system have stood up. If you were at our FPC press conference, back at the end of last year, we were talking about the system-wide exploratory scenario that we did last year. Some elements of which, do obviously have quite a striking resemblance to some of the things we've seen. So that was, for us, a very helpful guide to understanding the resilience of the system.
While entering 2025, inflation has fallen closer to the bank's 2% target, giving policymakers room to stimulate the economy through rate reductions. The current cut is a signal that the bank is pivoting towards supporting growth after a prolonged fight against inflation. Now, lowering the base interest rates to 4.25% is intended to stimulate economic activity by making borrowing, especially mortgages and business loans, cheaper. Now, this in turn can encourage consumer spending and investment, providing a boost to the economy. However, the move comes with trade-offs, which savers are likely to receive lower returns on their deposit, and if the rate cut strokes demand too rapidly, inflationary pressures could return. The bank is therefore walking a fine line between supporting growth and maintaining price stability. The Bank of England's latest forecast suggests that the United Kingdom will experience stronger than expected growth in the short term, buoyed by improved consumer confidence and resilient labor markets. However, growth is projected to taper off in the medium term due to structural challenges, including an aging population, weak productivity, and continued uncertainty in global markets. Now, this rate cut reflects a cautiously optimistic shift in the United Kingdom's economic strategy. While the immediate outlook appears brighter, the divided MPC vote reveals differing perspectives on how aggressively the bank should act. Now, as the economy adjusts to a lower interest rate environment, the Bank of England will need to remain vigilant, ready to recalibrate policy should inflation resurface or growth falter. Now on to the very next report of concern, which would be the last for the flash news. We see the second day of black smoke signal. No decision yet in Papal Conclave. Well, once again, thick black smoke has billowed from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, signaling to the world that the cardinals gathered at the Vatican have failed to elect a new pope. We see that we wonder if this is the path to the 267th pontiff, proving more complex than we anticipated. For the second consecutive day, thousands of faithfuls, Catholics, and curious tourists gathered in St. Peter's Square, watched the symbolic plume rise into the Roman sky, black, not white. The mood was mixed. A blend of hopeful applause and audible sighs rippled through the crowd on Thursday, today as the results follow the second and third ballots of the conclave. Could this delay reflect deeper divisions or simply a desire for careful discernment? Well, the conclave officially began on Wednesday evening when 133 cardinals were sequestered within the Vatican to carry out the sacred and secretive process of electing a new leader for the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. Well, these cardinals, drawn from across the globe, now face the challenge of finding unity in diversity. As tradition dictates, the only public sign of their progress comes through the chimney atop the Sistine Chapel. Burnt ballot papers create the telltale smoke. Black, if no candidate has achieved the required 2/3 majority of 89 votes. White, if a new pope has been chosen. Well, what comes next, and how long will this sacred process take? Well, we know history has shown that conclaves can stretch from days to weeks, depending on the level of consensus amongst the electors. Until the white smoke appears, the world can only watch and wonder who will emerge as the spiritual leader of the Catholic Church in this critical era. As world powers dive deeper into the seas, the markets, and matters of faith, one thing remains clear. The currents of change are swift and complex. Whether it is America's bid to secure its future beneath the waves, the United Kingdom's careful steps towards economic recovery, or the Vatican's sacred search for new leadership, each story reminds us that the decision made today ripple far into tomorrow. And with that, we've come to the end of today's Flash News and Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. Well, coming up at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. is Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. Do stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images.